Good day. Good day. My name is Abdalla, and I am honored to stand here today to speak to all of you. I joined Juniata College in January 2022 as a scholar in residence at the Baker Institute for Peace and Conflict Studies. And I was supposed to be here for 1 semester. However, by the end of the first semester, they asked me to stay for 1 more. I asked my wife, she said, why not? And we stayed for 1 more semester. And the 1 more semester was increased to 1 more and 1 more until I stayed here for 3.5 years. And it was great to receive this invitation a few days ago to speak at the baccalaureate. And when I asked my colleagues here, how is baccalaureate different from graduation the next day? And they said that in the baccalaureate, we want the students especially to have an opportunity to reflect on their experience, their transformations, and growth while they were here at Juniata. When they said that, I said, me too. I also would like to share about the growth and experiences and transformations that I experienced here at Juniata. Because when I came here in January 22, at the age of 65, with a wealth of experiences and working in different places in the world related to peace and conflict, I thought to come here at the age of 65, I have so much to offer to the Gen Zs and the Gen Alphas and at the age of 18, 19, and 20 years old. I think I did some of that. But what I did not expect was all the learning and all the transformation that I will go through thanks to those Gen Zs and Gen Alphas. And as I was reflecting on how I want to speak about those experiences, I thought about maybe 3 concrete stories among so many others. And perhaps the first story was when I first joined Juniata College. I attended big universities in the United States. I went to George Mason University in the Washington, D.C. area. Right now they have a student body of like 40,000. I was with an international university with the United Nations for several years, continue to be. So coming to Juniata College with about a student body of about 1,400 and in a small town called Huntington, I still remember when I first came here that, wow, this is so small and beautiful. And I always said elegant, and I continue to say that. And I thought it was really different, that it is so small and compared to what I know. I remember maybe a couple of weeks into my time here at Juniata, we have something like an academic fair, something like all the different departments, they set their posters and the faculty will stand and explain to the incoming students about their departments and so on. So myself and my colleague, Dr. Zia, we stood in front of our poster of the Department of Peace and Conflict and explaining to students as they come about what is this about. A young woman, I still remember her, coming and asking what is this peace and conflict and so on. And we were talking, and then I said to her that this is really my first time to be in a small liberal arts college in such a very small town. It is really small, and I keep talking about small. And then she looked at me and she said, for me, this is very big. I come from such a small town here, and to come to Huntington, this is a big city. And the Juniata College for me is huge. I never seen anything like this. And what an awakening this was for me, to realize that my own perspective, I still continue to learn that don't hold to your perspective as the absolute truth. No, there is another dimension to things. Other people are looking at the same issue from a different angle. What they experience in life is not what you experience in life. Remain humble and appreciate the different views that come from the experiences that people have and embrace them rather than to insist my own reality is the only one that is correct. So that was a big lesson one for me when I joined. And then I remember maybe a year or two into my time here, we have students also, as you see. I mean, Juniata is growing in terms of diversity in a great way. And I remember as one student in my group, he was from a Latino background. In the beginning of the semester, he was so energetic. He was in class, always doing great job. But I remember that into the semester, he started to slow down and even not show up as much to class. And I was worried about him. And I said to him, "Are you okay?" And he shyly said, "No, I'm not really." I said, "Why?" And he said, "Because I'm not sure when I go home if my parents will still be at home in case ICE will come and pick them up." That made me realize that many of our young generation are dealing with realities that maybe many of us didn't have to deal with. Imagine someone is coming to school, trying to work on getting their degree and study and be part of a community. Yet they have to be so preoccupied with, will my parents still be back home when I go back? Or will they be picked up and sent somewhere they may never see them again? How can you work with a student dealing with such burden and pain and to be supportive for them? I will say that that was one of the great experiences that I had to learn to deal with here at Juniata College. And the third story, maybe in general terms, is related to how this young generation has been able to deal with issues of emotional and mental health in ways that are so different from how our generation used to deal with. And I have to say that I was very careful, and maybe because of the nature of what I teach students about peace and conflict, so I was so in tune with students when they talk to me about their emotional and mental health issues. And whenever I spoke to them, I found that they have an amazing ability that I don't think our generation had to really articulate and to name issues that they are dealing with and to try to find a way to deal with such issues, and not in a shy way like we used to, and not by hiding behind different excuses, but to actually talk directly about those issues. And I appreciate Juniata College as an institution for the effort that I have seen that they have made to take care of such issues. I mean, there was one particular issue when a student had anxiety, was doing presentations, and actually inflicted harm on themselves when they were doing a Zoom presentation. And when I learned about it and I informed the administration, the reaction and the way they did things was fascinating. So I will say that maybe we are getting a great opportunity, that our younger generation is learning new ways of how to deal with some difficult issues. And we need to learn as administration and leadership and as grown-ups how to work with those issues. So for the young people of Juniata College and the ones who are graduating tomorrow, and I see some of the faces of students who attended my classes, and I'm honored that I see all of you. I want to say thank you. You contributed significantly to my growth. As a matter of fact, I can see now that I continue to do my work worldwide, I travel everywhere, do my teaching, do my workshops, I can tell you now Juniata became one of the key stations of my experiences that I rely on as I share stories of growth and transformation. So I am grateful to be invited to speak to you here at the baccalaureate, because I too, at this age, have learned so much and have grown and transformed from this fascinating experience at this elegant institution. Congratulations to all our graduates, and thank you all so much.